Look at this dude. Wait till you see the. No, 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 no.
Hello everyone, I'm the LightningTurk and welcome back to another Supremacy 1914 role-playing round. It's been quite a while since I've recorded one of these, and how you guys been? I hope everyone has been well. I hope you've all been healthy during the whole epidemic and whatnot. Yeah, I guess the reason for my absence would be I have other stuff to do. I've been very busy. But in any case, I'd like to get down to the round itself. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to change my recording style. So, without further ado, here is the Supremacy 1914, 1860 onwards role-playing round. For the sake of having a relatively casual role-playing round, and as an opportunity to introduce new or inexperienced players to the role-playing community on Supremacy 1914, I generally introduce this round, and anyone is free to join regardless of experience, and no real sample articles are necessary. I mean, people still submit them, and I prefer to see them, but there's no specific word count that I look for. This role-playing round was originally created back in 2014 by Elan Thompson, with help by Cow Says Roar, Phil Santoni, and me, LightningTurk. One in-game day generally represents one season, which is 3 months, in the RP itself. So 4 days IRL is 1 year in the RP. The game, in this case, starts in winter of 1860. So I guess winter would be December, January, and February. Spring would be March, April, May. Summer would be June, July, and August. And fall would be September, October, and November. Unless stated otherwise, the spirit and wording of the rules must always be abided by. Do not intentionally seek out loopholes or take advantage of the rules in any way possible. We don't allow gold mark in these rounds. We don't allow land grabbing or random invasions with no prior roleplaying. Obviously, we're here to RP and not kill each other off. Generally, in these sorts of rounds, the game doesn't officially begin until land swap is completed, so you aren't required to post articles in character until then. However, if you feel like it, you can still do so, for the sake of writing up your backstory or anything related to your nation prior to the 1860 start date. We generally have rules and restrictions around war, expansion, vassalization, alliances, and special rules. Aggressive expansion is a mechanic designed to maintain diplomatic order and control the rate of expansionist players. It usually drops by 5 points for all nations every year, which is 4 days in the RP, and it stops at 0 AE. If you are at war for more than 2 years, then the AE cooldown is negated until you maintain peace with another nation. Although it varies based on RP, and there are different mechanics related to or similar to aggressive expansion, 40 aggressive expansion is the limit for the 1860 RP. Anything above triggers a coalition war. Coalition wars are when nations around you will forcibly cut you down to size and must take an amount of provinces in order to bring your total AE down to 0 once more. Meaning, 5 aggressive expansion points per province will be removed from your nation. This is meant to be an in-character penalty and is not something you are actually fighting and winning. The admin generally designates the provinces lost according to the amounts. As stated earlier, we don't want you to be wiped out during this RP. We want you to have fun and enjoy. Therefore, anything under 3 provinces can only be vassalized and cannot be wiped out if it loses a war and is an active player. However, if a nation is inactive, it loses its provinces, normally as per the AE rules. Now, although I could discuss mechanics all day, and that would probably turn this video into like 45 minutes or something, we should probably move on. The countries. The British Empire. 17 provinces of pure power. A strong nation with tight control of the Atlantic trade routes, it seeks expansion into Africa and other untapped territories with its powerful navy. It rivals France, the United States, Russia, and the Austrian Empire, while having relatively pleasant relations with the Ottomans and Confederate States, as well as its colonies aside from Quebec. British vassals include the following: the colony of Quebec and the colony of Ontario. An ethnically French colonial holding, it has very rough relations with its neighbor to the south, the colony of Ontario, and the British Crown. It desires to return to French control. A calmer colonial holding by comparison, Ontario has wonderful relations with the British Empire, but rough relations with its colonial neighbor and the United States of America. This massive empire, after kicking the Ottomans out of the northern Black Sea, it intends to free its Orthodox brethren and expand further into European nations. However, it has horrible relations with all of its neighbors and rough relations with all of its vassals. Ukraine is a rather underdeveloped agrarian state. It loathes its Russian neighbor and overlord. However, it remains barely loyal out of necessity in order for continued protection from Ottoman, Austrian, or Prussian invasion. The Lithuanian people desire freedom. Freedom from Russian imperial control. They wish to relive their glory days in a union with their Polish brethren. Therefore, they have wonderful relations with their Polish counterpart. The once proud Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, it desires having Lithuania as a vassal state once more. It both fears and detests Russia, as well as the Prussians in Austria. The one nation that may not have a strong, burning hatred for their Russian overlord, the Georgians have exchanged their freedom for protection from the Ottoman heathens, and will do anything in their power to retain a peaceful status. With a raging hatred for the Russian overlord, it longs for its old status as a unionized duchy under Swedish control. It is a very militaristic society, and desires an alliance with Sweden, but has bad relations with Europe due to being labeled as no different from the backwards Russians. A vast empire with little control over its outside vassals, it has focused heavily on maintaining a crumbling empire and tends not to interfere in European affairs, aside from the occasional wars declared upon it. It has cordial relations with Britain and Prussia, while having horrible relations with Austria, Russia, and its own individual vassals. This video is meant to be more of a background to the RP itself, rather than a start to the events within the roleplay. Now, of course, we start in winter 1860, and I'll likely record a second version of this with the updates going on between winter of 1860 and, I guess, winter of 1870. That seems like a good pace for it, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.